Good morning, everyone, and thank you guys so much for joining today's stream. So far, the market is looking pretty good. We're seeing some good upwards movement. And the market has just been like a whipsaw, like over like the past couple of days. Green, red, green, red, green, red, and looks like we're green so far, but who knows how long this will last, but Apple's still powering up. I know that's one to definitely keep on your radar, especially given the crazy movement yesterday. But besides that, I'm just watching the usual stocks like DraftKings, Corsair, and of course Disney. Tom, I don't know about you, but I think Disney is looking for a pretty good setup to the upside. And then I think you're muted, Tom, too.
Oh, there we go. But yeah, we're getting right up to that 147.50 resistance right there. It's looking pretty good for a pop this morning if we can break that. I think that's been a pretty big resistance, especially yesterday, right around market open. So hopefully we can finally get back above that and then maybe even get back to 150 or even higher. I think that would be awesome to get back up above that 150 resistance. I think that's going to be pretty big as well. And, man, we've been talking about this one for a while. And if they continue on the downtrend, who knows how low they're going to end up going. So hopefully it ends up turning around right here. It looks like a pretty good day so far. Like you said, the market's actually doing pretty well as of right now. But, just like you said, we saw this happen yesterday and then the market kind of tanked off. So hopefully we can get some nice, good momentum to the upside today.
Exactly. So, do you have like any like favorite setups right now? Like, I know Apple is going crazy. I know we just covered Disney, but besides like DraftKings and Corsair and stuff like that, like, do you have like any favorite setups, whether it's for the long term or short term or anything?
Yeah, I've actually been eyeing up the metals lately. I'm actually looking at GLD quite a bit, and they've been staying in their range here on the daily chart for quite a long time. And, they are starting to have some pretty good dips to the downside. And, with inflation and everything going on, I would expect gold to do pretty well. And especially for the longer term, like even if it goes down for the next month or two, I feel like that over the next few years, gold will do pretty well, like it usually does historically. And I'm definitely eyeing it up as it gets close to some of these supports here. And it looks like it is going to open green up 0.8% today, which is a pretty good opening so far, as long as the market holds up.
There we go. And then, Tom, let's check out Neo really quickly. The market just opened, like you said, and they're leading my watch list. They're up nearly 3.5%, and we're just under like that $41.50 resistance.
Wow, we are. If we actually get a good breakout of that, I think Neo could have a decent run, Mike. Like we've been eyeing them up for a few weeks now, and they've just been honestly staying right around this $40 area. And if they could finally get a nice move off of here, I think that would be great. I'm definitely waiting for them to get that nice momentum to the upside. And hopefully today is kind of the start of that. Like you said, they're already up 3.4%. That's a pretty good open so far.
No doubt. Yeah, so most of my watch list is green, actually, like basically all of it. So that's awesome to see, especially after a pretty bad past couple of days. Another stock that I'm looking at is actually AI. They have their earnings today, which will be huge in my opinion. Like this stock has just been getting absolutely destroyed since IPO, and I do like them for the long term, but like I don't even know if they could even fall more on their earnings report because this is brutal.
Yeah, they just keep going down and down. And I don't know, I mean, it's been crazy with what we've been seeing with some of these stocks go down with these earnings. So hopefully they end up coming out and have good ones because I will say their last earnings wasn't the best. It definitely was worse than the one before, and they didn't even beat the estimate there either. So hopefully their earnings go well. If not, it could end up having another downturn. I'm with you. I really think it shouldn't, but in the end, man, we've been seeing way too many of these plays go down, like Zoom, Peloton, and just about everything. It's been a very crazy earnings season to say the least, especially for these growth stocks. And Mike, those cruise lines that we've been talking about for the past few days, CCL is doing pretty well, up 4%, and it looks like they might have had a nice double bottom around $17.
True that. I mean, I just can't believe just all the crazy movement we saw over like the past couple of days. Like the cruise lines, especially, just got absolutely destroyed right when that new variant news came out. And I remember like on the gap down, a lot of these cruise lines were down anywhere from like 10 to 15% in one day. So it's crazy, but you're absolutely right. Look at that double bottom.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, and it might be a good opportunity here for the next few days. I mean, I could see us getting up to $19 today, but like that resistance from a couple days ago, and then maybe we'll start to fill this gap back up towards $20. I think that $20 resistance will definitely be a nice level to go back up and at least touch. So looking at it, it looks like they are looking pretty good with that double bottom. So especially for shares, I think if you got in right here, you could honestly cut pretty fast if you wanted to, but honestly, just hold it for the long term. It should be pretty solid. And Mike, another one that's going up today that I've been eyeing up is actually MU. They're up 2.6%. And whenever I look at their chart on the daily, their intraday chart doesn't look too good, but the daily chart is actually looking pretty nice. Like if they could start to get a breakout up above like $88, I could see MU having a pretty nice run this week.
There we go. I like to see it. So yeah, I just I'm scanning really quickly. Like I said, most of the stocks are green, but like, how's the market overall doing so far?
Yeah, overall, it's actually doing decent. The SPY's up 1.13%. And whenever we go look at like the 5-day, 5-minute, it is up, but it is kind of turning over, kind of like what we saw yesterday and a couple days ago. So just be a little careful, that it is up. The one thing I will say that's on my chart that is a little worrisome is that we failed to get up above this 462 resistance. Of course, we broke above it very slightly, but we failed to break out above 462. We also failed to move back above the 1,000 SMA. And to me, it looks like we could end up bleeding off again today. It looks like we've been seeing this happen a few times now. Like yesterday, the market had a nice pre-market and ended up going up pretty well and then tanked off when the market opened. And it looks like that's kind of going on again today. And hopefully it doesn't keep going on like this for the next couple of weeks. But generally, Mike, whenever the market starts to fall, we see it move like this. It almost looks like a heartbeat monitor, the way it's going up and down like this.
I know. It's crazy. Alrighty, so we basically covered all of the top moving stocks so far, so I just want to take this time to welcome everyone to the stream. So thank you guys so much for joining. Welcome Keisha, David, George, and Bill. Let us know what stocks you're watching. We could definitely take a look at them. And then we have David saying, "Morning, Mike and Tom. Thanks for your consistent and relevant content. Hoping the bot calls out another great play today." So absolutely, it's been doing pretty well lately, and hopefully this trend continues because, yeah, I mean, it's just awesome to see that. So looking at everything, Tom, do you have like any breakout setups you're seeing? Like I know we covered the cruise lines and things like that, but what are you seeing?
I'm honestly really eyeing up Twitter right now. They had a pretty good move back up to the upside this morning. And I know that their CEO, Jack Dorsey, stepped down a few days ago and he's going to focus more on Square. But for right now, it looks pretty good to the upside for Twitter. They're recovering up nicely from this. And I would say definitely throw them on the radar. They had a nice uptrend whenever Dorsey stepped down in pre-market, and then they ended up tanking down pretty drastically the next couple of days. So hopefully they start to go up. And honestly, Twitter fell a lot and they kind of bounced off this 42.50 support. So hopefully they can go up. It's been a long time since they've went on the uptrend. They've definitely been on a pretty bad downtrend. And I'm trying to find a good entry down here, Mike. A good entry, I think for the longer term right now, shares will always be a good entry around $45. But I'm just trying to find like just I'm trying to time it as best as I can. And I feel like right now is pretty good. I hit that support. And then if we start to get like maybe another green day tomorrow, it might be a really good sign for the next couple of weeks, especially with how much we've been going down. And it's not just Twitter though, it's all the social media companies like Snapchat, even Facebook or Meta has been on a downtrend, even with all this good Meta news coming out. But the main ones are like Snapchat or they're even getting destroyed like Twitter.
There we go. Yeah, it's been pretty rough with a lot of those ones. But one that's actually at a pretty good level and that's looking decent for a pop back up is Penn. So PENN, they've been getting destroyed for the past, well, actually all year. Yeah, basically all year long. And now they're bouncing off of 50 and looking pretty good.
Yeah, it actually doesn't look bad. $50 will be a really nice support too. So yeah, it's not looking bad at all. On the daily, it has a lot of consolidation and hopefully it goes up. I know Portnoy is going to be happy if it goes up. I know he's been pretty upset lately with it going down, but hopefully it goes up. Didn't Penn get affected by a lot of that China news?
I don't know, actually. I don't think they have too
Or was
much.
that Win and LVS?
Yeah, it was mainly Win in LVS.
Okay, yeah, it was those two then. But yeah, Penn, I know that they've had a lot of crazy news over the past few months too, and I know that Dave Portnoy had those like allegations against him too. So obviously that affected the stock, but I really think Penn could get back up there, Mike. Like they're pretty relevant, and they haven't been making as much moves as DraftKings, but I've been seeing them making some pretty good moves over the past couple of years too.
Absolutely. All right, and then I just want to welcome Mike, Alex, and Mike and Alex's stream. And then we have Alex saying, "What do you think of Boeing for shares at these levels, or do you think it will continue on a downtrend?" So I really like Boeing at these levels for shares. It was looking so good, like what was that, 2 weeks ago, and just got absolutely destroyed. But I do really like it. They're a solid company. They're at a good level, and even though the short term has been very volatile, it's still at a good level.
Yeah, and let's even if you get in right here, if you plan on holding it for the longer term, you're gonna average in. I think it's pretty smart. Even like let's say that there's even a worst case scenario, and this has to be really, really bad. Let's say Boeing goes from like 200 down to like 150 or even 100. You know, obviously that's going to be terrible. But if you're averaging in, eventually you'll get your average down to like 130, 125, something like that. If they go down to 100, so I would just recommend averaging in here. Obviously, they still can fall over the next couple of weeks to couple of months, but I think it'll come right back up, just like we saw before. They had that big drop down, but they ended up having some pretty quick recoveries there. And whenever they get on the uptrend, they really like to go up. And usually they get some pretty good news, and it happens pretty quick. So definitely throw them on the radar. I think that they just need one good piece of news or something, and then they can finally get back up. Obviously, this variant news is not going to be helping them. They're kind of like the airlines and the cruise lines in a slight way.
Yep. All right, and then we have Keisha saying, "Bought shares in DraftKings. Do you think it can hold the $34 to $35 level?" I hope. I mean, this stock has just been getting destroyed like over like the past couple of months, and there's not really any major catalyst for that. But with the way it's been looking, it's just been selling off literally every week. But in my opinion, we're getting towards the end of that. We are at a major support level as well, but at the same time, just growth stocks in general have just been getting destroyed. So, long story short, I do think it'll pop back up, but the market has kind of been surprising everyone lately.
Yeah, and they had a lot of crazy technicals going on too, and just a lot of weird stuff going on with the chart, with the company, just everything like that. They had that Entain deal that ended up getting scrapped, and just they had so many weird things going on. But I like them. I'm with you, Mike. I think it's getting towards the end of this as well. They were in some crazy setups. They had a little bit of like a head and shoulders pattern here, and it looks like that they're kind of getting out of that setup now. So now that they're out of that, like hopefully they can get on a nice uptrend pretty soon. I've been waiting for it personally. I've been kind of averaging in, so hopefully they can get back up. And honestly, like we've been seeing, Mike, lots of like different licensing and stuff like that being talked about. So as these states just start to get more licensing and as it starts to get more legal, they'll just get more better news, and just obviously it's gonna just help their stock, and they'll get more customers and more growth.
You know it. There we go. All right. I'm looking at a couple different things right now, and oh gosh, so the market just is crazy lately. Like literally so much back and forth movement. Like if we just look at a chart of the SPY, yesterday tanked down. Today we were up in pre-market, and now we're starting to take back down again. We are actually up like 1.1% relative to yesterday, but from today's current price to today's opening price were red. So it just goes to show you that like there is so much volatility right now, like especially like on a day-to-day basis with the market overall. And like we talked about in yesterday's video, Tom, I think there's opportunity definitely for like the short-term plays like we saw with Apple yesterday, but I just think the best way to go is buying the dip on some of these like longer-term like stocks that are at pretty awesome levels.
Yeah, I know. I think that'll be definitely the way to go. And my favorite one personally, I think right now is going to be Disney personally. I know I love DraftKings too, but I just think Disney's a little bit safer of a company,
Oh yeah.
especially just to average in down here. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a little bit safer. Obviously DraftKings is going to be a little riskier. You'll probably get a lot better gains with DraftKings if they go up, but Disney's just a lot more developed company, of course. And I'm not saying DraftKings bad by any means, but it's just, obviously Disney's been around for a long time. They're a powerhouse. And honestly, the way they've been dipping down is just creating such a great opportunity. It's almost hard to pass this one up.
Yeah, true that. And Disney's a pretty well-established company, just like you said. And DraftKings is still in the early stages of growth, we can say. So it's definitely riskier than Disney for sure. But like you said, you'll probably get a higher potential return with DraftKings, but also more risk comes along with that. So good stuff there. We have Bill saying, thanks for the insight and perspective. Keep us all improving in our trading. Yeah, thank you so much for that comment, Bill. Then George said KO seems to be bouncing from the $52.50 support. So KO, I haven't been following this one too much lately, but yeah, it does look to be bouncing from that support level. Hopefully, it makes a double bottom, like right around that level, and we pop back up.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing to get out to get a nice double bottom there. I'll be honest, the chart setup looks pretty crazy. Like we're kind of retesting this level for the second or third time now. And I feel like we could end up going through this if the overall market keeps going down. I think though, if the SPY and the Dow end up holding up, then KO will do pretty well and end up bouncing right here. But I have a weird feeling like if the SPY ends up going down, it might drag KO down with it, given that KO's been like a pretty good value stock. But in the end, KO's been pretty good, I will say, for the past couple of years. Their chart doesn't look bad at all on the daily. And as long as we get that bounce here, it could be decent. So definitely just eye up that bounce.
There we go. And then George also said CRWD has earnings later today. I'm really hoping for a bounce back up. Yeah, it's been a powerhouse over the past couple of years, actually, and they're in like a pretty decent dip right now, so I'm with you.
Yeah, they just broke that big support actually at 225, which I thought would honestly hold up, but it ended up not. They broke right below it. And usually, whenever that happens, the earnings sometimes you'll see them get some pretty bad moves to the downside. But if they're good, hopefully they end up popping back up. But with just based off the technicals, it's not looking good heading into it at least. So I'd be pretty worried about it. But man, CrowdStrike has been such a good company. Usually their earnings go pretty well.
Yep. All right, Tom, we have Apple powering up again, or at least trying to. They're up like another 1.5%, and they were even higher in pre-market.
Yeah, it looks like they have like a little bit of a bullish hammer going on their daily candlestick setup there. They're trying to continue to make those highs. And yeah, it looks like they're trying to get up to that pre-market level of like 168.60. I like it, Mike. I think it looks pretty good. And hopefully it continues with this momentum. It's been very nice. And I love what CNBC reported yesterday about Apple. They said that investors are flocking into Apple right now because they're just finding it as a safe haven. We have all these other companies reporting crazy earnings and having weird balance sheets and all this other stuff. But Apple has just been so consistent over the past few years. They have innovations with their electric car and that all this different stuff that you would have never thought they'd get into, helping their stock go up also. And like CNBC said, traders are just finding them as a safe haven. And as the market was going down, traders were just jumping into Apple. So honestly, it seems like a pretty good setup here. If you can just keep playing the all-time highs, I really like that. But I would say it's pretty hard to buy it up here at the all-time high, like for shares and stuff. But I think it's great for momentum plays.
Sounds good. All right, and then we have Queen saying, good morning. What do you guys think of Twitter? So TWTR, let's take a look at that one really quickly. So it is up actually a decent amount today, just under 5%. What do you think on this one, Tom?
I think it looks pretty good. I remember talking about it at like market open and it was doing pretty decent and it just keeps running up. It's actually leading my watch list with Ford and then Caterpillar right under that. Some of these other stocks honestly have fallen back down, but yeah, Twitter's holding up pretty well actually. And I'd love to see them keep going up. They had that, like I said earlier, their CEO actually stepped down and then their stock had a crazy move to the upside, like we can see on the chart. And then it tanked right back off. So hopefully we can get a little bit of recover back. And I think that this might be a little bit of a start to that. So I'm glad to see it. And I'm just waiting for Twitter to go up. Like if we look at the daily, it's been a long time since they've went on the uptrend. And I'm definitely going to wait for like a couple of candles though, because there could definitely be some fake outs here.
There we go. And then we have Queen saying, Mike, get well soon. Sounds like you have a little colds. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. So, yeah, thank you for that. And then we have, let's see, Neighbor saying, what do you guys think of Lucid LCID? So, LCID, this one has been exploding over like the past couple of weeks, and I don't know. It's good for short-term trading, but for the long term, they definitely have potential. but they have a lot to do to back up their valuation. They're in an industry that is just exploding. So I think they definitely have potential. They're amazing for short term trading, but for a long term investment, they have a lot of work to do to back up their valuation.
Yeah, definitely. Just keep in mind like stocks like Tesla and stuff like that. If they had a lot of crazy stuff, in the beginning too. And honestly, it seems like Lucid's doing a lot better than like Tesla was doing in the beginning. I'm not saying they're going to become a Tesla or even come close to the share price of them or anything, but in the end, I feel like that at least the EV sector is already established a little bit. Like Tesla was kind of like the first one to the ball game. So it's going to be pretty tough for Lucid, but I feel like it's going to be a little bit easier now that Tesla kind of already established a lot of stuff. So at least they have that going for them. I like them for the long term, but I would not be buying shares right here. I would definitely wait, but it's really hard, Mike, because you see things like Tesla and stuff like that. And, like Tesla just kept going up and, people definitely said bad stuff about their valuations and stuff in the beginning and everything like that. And it's just, it's been a very crazy past few months for the EV sector. We've even had stocks like Ford and General Motors making crazy moves. Like Ford's up like 450, 500% almost since COVID happened. Like they've had some crazy moves to the upside. Same thing with General Motors. And it's going to be a really crazy next few months, I think. Like we have some crazy valuations like with Lucid, Rivian, and different stocks like that. And man, all that we need is just like honestly, like Lucid, all that we need is their stock to go down to the level of just a month ago almost, and they'll lose half their valuation. So it's definitely a pretty crazy stage in their growth. And I feel like that if they dip back down maybe to 40 or to 30, I would definitely eye up shares for the longer term there. But right here, I just don't know about getting shares yet, Mike, but I'm definitely eyeing them up. Like I don't know, like how do you feel about them? Like I think they could be pretty good, but they're not going to be a Tesla, of course, but I think that they'll be pretty decent.
Yeah, I do think they have a lot of potential. It's just, um, like I said, they need to get more established. They need more sales. They need, they have a lot of work to do to back up their valuation. And with the way the EV industry is right now, especially in the market, like we had Rivian who had $0 in sales, and they were the world's third largest auto manufacturer. So it's like it's just important to realize some of like what stages the companies you're investing into are at. So I do like them. They are risky and they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and the good news is they did have some pre-orders like as they started deliveries, which is good. And I think that as these next earnings reports start to come out over the next couple of quarters, it's going to be really cool to see what Lucid does. And just don't be surprised, guys. Like if you guys see some bad sales numbers, obviously Lucid will probably tank. If you see some good sales numbers, they'll probably explode. So it's definitely going to be very important to watch these numbers over the next few months and even few years. I think it's going to be a pretty big thing to watch. Personally, I'm hoping like Lucid and some of these other companies like Rivian and stuff, I'm really hoping to see them do pretty well because it's just, for the past few years, all that we've had is like, at least in the States, we have like Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Honda, pretty much just like the standard stuff. Like I like to see some innovation. I just love to see different stuff come out. And I think it'll be very cool to see some of these other companies over the next couple of years. It's going to be cool to see their vehicles and see their stock growth because I think it's going to be pretty cool. It looks like Rivian's actually having a pretty good day given what the rest of the market's been doing.
Yep. All right, and then we have Johnny Leverage saying thoughts on Mora shares. Too tempting to buy at these levels, but I am worried about the SEC investigation they have going on. If you're looking for crypto exposure, you're probably better off just buying Bitcoin directly. And let's say you don't want to go through the hassle of buying Bitcoin directly, you can trade the BITO ETF if it's for the short term. I know I said a lot of negative things about it for a long term hold, but for the short term, this will do the job perfectly fine. So, if you're looking for crypto exposure, I would go with Bitcoin directly. If you can't do that, then BITO works. We can see Bitcoin has been popping up lately, which is good, at least like over the past couple hours or so. So, I would definitely just consider BITO or just Bitcoin directly.
Yeah, and I think BITO could be pretty good in the short term, kind of like Mike said. And like they do end up following, they do follow Bitcoin a little bit. Like, of course, we go look at like GLD. It's not going to follow gold directly, but obviously, if like gold has like a nice 5% move to the upside, GLD will have a pretty nice move too. So that's kind of like how BITO is. Um, I don't know, Mike. It's like you said, it's kind of hard to hold, like especially for the long term, because it's going to move so much differently than the futures and just decay. But for the short term, I think it can be good. But keep in mind, it also has some crazy movement with it. For me, BITO would be very hard to hold over the weekend because of how Bitcoin is open for 24 hours, 7 days a week. I think so. Obviously, like weird stuff could happen to your ETF if you hold that through the weekend. So to me, that would make me pretty worried with that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you're going to trade it for the short term, be a little careful with the weekends, because I've seen it open up with some pretty crazy gaps before.
Yeah. So yes, it will move different than Bitcoin, but it's not going to be like night and day. That's another thing to keep in mind. Like it's the main problem with this one is the futures decay. We can call it the negative roll yield. You can also label it. Which it's bad, but it's not like horrible to the extent where like if Bitcoin's up 20%, BITO is only going to be up like 8%. Like it's going to be pretty similar either way. But like Tom mentioned, which I didn't even think about initially, is let's say you're bullish on Bitcoin and it's like a Friday and you bought BITO, whether it's calls or shares or whatever, you can't do anything until Monday morning. But if you bought like Bitcoin by itself, you can trade that whenever you want. So that's definitely another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until that very moment whenever I was talking about it, but that would definitely make a huge impact. And especially if you're trying to trade like options on the Bitcoin ETF, I think that would make it even worse. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind if you're going to try trading it on a Friday or something. It would definitely be better to have Bitcoin just so you could close it in case something crazy went on, because I've seen stuff where Bitcoin had some really crazy moves on like Saturdays and Sundays. So it can definitely happen.
Yep. All right. So with the next comment, we have Vicky saying good morning. Hit the like button. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. If you hit that like button, Tom and I would greatly appreciate it. It only takes like 2 seconds and it helps us out so much. So thank you guys so much for being here. Let us know what stocks you're watching and we'll definitely take a look at them. But so far today, Tom, we are seeing a pretty decent recovery out of some stocks. The market's just kind of flat so far, but Disney's having a pretty good day. Of course, the cruise lines are doing pretty good. Like the cruise lines are up over 2%. Neo's pulling back a little bit, and yeah, that's basically it. I also saw Snapchat was popping up a decent amount.
Snapchat, yeah, wow, look at that. They're actually up 5%. I need to throw them on my watch list. They must have got deleted somehow, but yeah, they're up 5%. That's actually a really nice move today for them. They got up through that $50 resistance, which I thought was a pretty nice psychological level to break out above. And then also, we've hit $50 over the past few days and started moving down. So that's a pretty nice move, I think. I'm glad to see them get up through there. And I've been waiting for Snapchat and Twitter to go up for a long time. So hopefully they can start to get up soon. I think it's in a pretty good spot to buy shares at for the longer term if you like these companies. But I have heard some pretty crazy things about the companies. Obviously, they've had some bad earnings and stuff like that, and obviously Congress has been kind of like looking into some of these practices and stuff. But I feel like that they'll end up doing pretty well in the future. Obviously, the metaverse is going to be pretty crazy, and I feel like somehow these social media companies will be integrated in somehow. So I think it'll be okay, and I'm definitely going to eye up Snapchat and Twitter both over the next few days. Hopefully, they move up together.
Awesome. I also saw like some of these value stocks, like Starbucks, are holding their ground very well and actually moving pretty good to the upside.
Yeah, Starbucks is having a very nice day, and like you said, the value stocks. I know KO was doing well earlier, but yeah, this is a nice move actually. They were actually bouncing on that support, like that 110 support, that they've bounced at for the past few months. It looks like, and I really like the way they're moving today. Like this is some nice momentum. If the overall market starts to really fall off, I would get a little worried, but I feel like they even held their ground well over the past few days while the SPY has been crazy. So looks pretty good. I'm glad they broke out above 112, and honestly, it's getting pretty extended up there. So I'm liking it. Hopefully we can get up and retest 114. That's going to be an amazing resistance, I think, for the next few days up here at 114.
Sounds good. We have Augusta saying, following institutional order flow, I think we'll see minimum 10% down in the indices by December 31st. So always trust your gut. If you believe that, feel free to, you could profit from that by buying puts, shorting stocks. I guess you could say buying the VIX and things like that. So always trust your gut. And then we have George saying MU is still going strong, about to break out from November's highs. MU, let's take a look. Yeah, it's actually looking really good. It's breaking above that $87.50 resistance right now. They have some more resistance right around 90, and if we break that, like the all-time high is right around like like a little over like 96.
Yeah, there we go. This is actually an awesome technical setup. I'm really glad to see it breaking out. I know that we talked about it at the beginning of the stream, and MU's been they've been having a lot of issues lately, to say the least. Like they had a lot of a bad downtrend for like 6 or 7 months, but hey, they're going right back up. We've seen a few other chip stocks like Qualcomm do the same exact thing and make new all-time highs. So I'm definitely eyeing up MU. I think it's an amazing setup on the daily. Even the intraday is looking good now. At market open, I didn't think it looked the best, but right now with the breakout, I think it looks amazing. And MU's in that chip sector, and I've heard that their memory chips are very good. They're very sought after. So hopefully they do pretty well. I know their stock was taking a hit. People were definitely trash talking them a little bit for a while they were around $70 and $65. But hey, they recovered pretty well. They're in a great sector. And I think that with all the other chip stocks doing well, MU was just lagging behind a little bit. And I think that they definitely have a chance to at least retest 90 or maybe that all-time high. But keep in mind, these earnings coming up on December 20th, like right before Christmas, are going to be pretty big for them. If the earnings go well, I would expect a pretty big explosion. But obviously, we have a lot of days before that happens. So hopefully, we get some movement before then.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick correction. So the all-time high was actually back in like 2000. So I just realized that it's very close to the current all-time high though. So it looks like the all-time high is $97.50.
Yeah, look at that. That's actually almost like a double top right there. So hopefully we can get back up, retest that. Who knows? Maybe we'll even break that and get back up above $100 a share. I think that would be really cool to see for MU. And they're in that type of sector. We've been seeing AMD, we've been seeing Nvidia have way crazier moves. So if MU just had a little 20-point pop, I don't think it would be too bad. And just looking at it overall, like I said, like look at AMD's growth, look at Nvidia's growth. These stocks have been on fire and they're kind of in that sector. So I'm really liking the setup here. And man, I'll be honest, this is probably my favorite setup in the market today. I know that Snapchat and Twitter are probably right behind, but MU's daily chart just looked too good.
You know it. All right, there we go. It looks like, let's see. It looks like these chip stocks are doing pretty well, actually. Of course, we covered MU, but TSM is also leading the way up. They're up quite a bit, while like Nvidia and AMD are kind of lagging behind.
I actually saw some pretty good news with TSM over the past few days. I can't remember exactly what it was. I thought maybe it was something with Apple or maybe something with Nvidia, but or I think it was something actually with Nvidia. Yeah, I think that they were talking about doing something with Nvidia, which is going to be huge for them. I think that's great news, and hopefully it sends TSM stock to the upside. Yeah, I actually just looked it up. It definitely is something with Nvidia, so that sounds pretty good. And I know that that's going to be pretty cool to see. But in the end, TSM has been really lagging behind, kind of like what we talked about with MU and a few of the others. So I'd be really happy to see it go up. And honestly, it looks almost like the start of a little uptrend here.
No doubt. No doubt. So it looks like Twitter's still holding its ground. They are actually making a new high of days or a new high of day right now. They're up like 5.5%. And I know we covered this one a couple times, but I'll say Twitter, like over like the past, I don't know, maybe 4 trading days, has been one of the craziest setups I've seen in like a couple months. Literally, it goes from what is that, like $47.50 down to like $46.50, explodes up to $53.20, loses all of the gains, goes red all the way down to 43. Now we're back up to 46.40, we can say. So this has just been all over the place. Of course, they had that news with Jack Dorsey stepping down and the new CEO and all that, but this has literally been probably the most volatile stock I've seen in months.
Yeah, it really has been crazy. And I don't know like what happened here. Like I guess investors were happy to see Dorsey step down and then they got sad. Like I don't even know like what caused that push and then like how could it even sell off that fast? It was very crazy to see. And then the thing that blew my mind the most, Mike, is if it just would have went up here to 53 and then just maybe fell back to 47.50 and then held its ground, it wouldn't have been too surprising. But then it even fell 10 points down to $43. Like, how did it even do that? Like you said, it's been mind blowing to watch. It's been a crazy setup. And Twitter has just honestly been on such a weird downtrend here that I'm just waiting for him to go back. And hopefully this was the start of that. And, sometimes we see these type of crazy moves like like as a support's getting touched or something. So hopefully we see Twitter go up. But in the end, that was crazy news with their CEO stepping down. I know that he was I'm not going to say like sought after. I guess I should word it better. Like he was more well liked. I know that Jack Dorsey was a pretty popular figure, kind of like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg. Obviously not as popular as those two, but he was a pretty big name. And I think that was pretty, I was very surprised to see them pop up whenever he stepped down. The downwards movement didn't surprise me as much, but overall it's just been crazy.
All right, and then we have George saying, "Did you guys see this?" And they put a quote saying, "Trade alert: Chamath at Clover Health Investments has just spent $10 million buying 6.1% more shares." So yeah, I mean, I just saw right when you posted it, and that's definitely good news, and it can bring in some more hype. The only like my concern with it is $10 million isn't like a ton compared to like the average trading volume for this stock. So like if I just pick like any random trading day and let's say I don't know, let's say like a day where there was 31 million shares traded at like let's say like $6 each. 2K, so $6 each. It looks like the average trading volume in terms of dollar amount is $186 million. So it's like a $10 million investment is definitely a lot, and it's good to see, and it can bring hype in. It's just like not like enough to like really move the stock. So it's good to see that he's buying the dip. I'm just curious if like the hype will draw more investors in.
Yeah, and I don't think it will, to be honest. I'm kind of thinking it might not. Clover's been in a pretty bad downtrend, and I don't think investors are just going to come in just seeing that. Maybe if we saw like Kathy Wood or maybe someone like that, I feel like it might get a little bit more hype. But yeah, you're right. It's only 10 million, and honestly, like I know that that's a lot of money, but to the market, it's just not. And like whenever you look at it, it's a very crazy stock. They're $4.97 a share. Now, the thing that interests me the most about this is why is this person buying more? Like are they do they know something maybe we don't? That's my main thinking of it. That more of besides the hype coming in. I would think maybe they might know something fundamentally. Maybe they talk to somebody who worked there or something. I think that there might be something with that, but I don't think that there's just going to be a ton of investors come in, or I don't think Wall Street Bets is going to get hyped up over this $10 million purchase.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then George also said he bought them at an average price of $5.75. $5.75, which seems to be quite a vote of confidence. I agree with you there. It definitely is a bullish position, and it definitely does represent confidence. Just my main concern is like $10 million isn't going to move the stock up by itself, especially when we could have $180 million worth of stock traded on just an average trading day. So it's good news, but I would say like the biggest thing is just if we see hype with it. Like if Wall Street Bets pops it up, then yes, maybe. But I like the last time I went on Wall Street Bets, everyone was talking about Wish and Rivian and of course AMC and GameStop still, and they're still at a point right now where it's like the buying power is so like spread out, where instead of having like one mega squeeze, there's just like a bunch of like little stocks that don't really do anything.
Yeah, and I actually have it kind of pulled up here on one of the sentiment websites, financials.fyi. And, like we can see, like, let's just go like search down the list here. We have SPY, Apple, Baba, Tesla, GameStop, Nvidia, CRM, Wish. But, where's Clover? All the way down below Moderna, below Disney, below Facebook. It's just not getting a lot of hype right now. I hope it does, though. Honestly, I really hope to see Clover maybe bounce off of 5 and maybe head back up towards that $7 resistance. I think that would be awesome. I do also think that they have a little bit of a gap to fill on the daily between $6 and $6.50. So maybe we can get back up and start to fill that. I think that would be awesome. But this company's just been in a crazy downtrend. And one thing I just want to say is that with this company down, there's a lot of other companies down like Disney, Corsair, and other ones like that I think are just a little bit better to buy. Obviously, Clover could have some great growth if they come out with something good, but in the end, I feel like these other ones are just going to be, number one, a little bit safer, and number two, possibly have better growth if Clover doesn't move.
Yep, exactly. All right, and yeah, that's good stuff there. Thanks for sharing that info, George. Tom, do you see like any major stocks moving? Like, I see like Mara exploding up, but besides that, it's just kind of like the usual. But actually, hold on one second. So it looks like McDonald's is powering up in a pretty strong way. They're up nearly 2%, which is a pretty big day for a value stock like McDonald's. And it looks like they're trying to make back all of the losses from last week.
Yeah, that's actually really good to see for McDonald's. Like you talked about earlier, the growth stocks, or I shouldn't say the growth stocks, the value stocks were doing pretty good today. Like McDonald's was doing good, KO's doing pretty good. So that's a good sign. I'm glad to see it. Hopefully they can get to move up. I know that they're up today, Mike, but you know how McDonald's is. They're nice and slow. So a good day for them is 2%. So I really hope to see them continue up over the next few days. I think that would be awesome for them. Like you said, they're trying to almost not fill the gap, but they're trying to just move back up after falling last week. I think that they definitely can, and they're looking pretty good right now. So definitely eye them up. If the value stocks keep going, I think that they have a pretty good chance to keep moving up as well.
Awesome stuff. All right. It looks well. Actually, one thing that's pretty interesting to me is while the market itself is exploding up and we're seeing a pretty decent recovery overall. We're even seeing like some of the COVID plays like Peloton popping. Zoom still is down like 2.5%, and like even a green day like today can't even hold this one up.
Man, look at this on the 5-minute chart. Every single day at market open, right when the market opens, Zoom has a terrible 5-minute candle. Like, look at this today. Market opens, huge red candle. Same thing yesterday, same thing the day before, and same thing the day before. Well, the day before, yeah, it was actually the same thing the day before. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy openings, actually. And even that one day, Mike, they had a nice pop up in the morning. And then as the market opened, that red candle extended down like almost 10 points. Like, how could it even be that large? But yeah, in the end, like, I don't know what's been going on. There's definitely a lot of selling pressure here, and a lot of people are coming in at market open, which is not a good sign. So I don't know, just looking at it on the daily, I like it for the long term to pick up shares, but other than that, I don't think I would do too much right now. Maybe some leaps that expire like in 2023 or something, but in the end, I think I would wait just a little bit longer. Definitely though, for shares, I think it's awesome right now. We've talked about it so much, Mike, for the past few weeks, and I think it could definitely have a good chance.
Awesome stuff. So, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Yeah, I actually am watching one type of setup here really fast. I have a little bit of an article. Capital One actually says that they're ditching all of their consumer overdraft fees, giving up $150 million in annual revenue. And I know that might not be too much in revenue for them, but in the end, that's quite a bit. And I would expect them to maybe fall down on this, but it looks like their stock's actually doing pretty well today, moving to the upside. So I don't know, maybe this will help them a little bit in a way, but I just wanted to throw it out there because Capital One has been on the downtrend over the past couple of weeks, kind of like Visa, MasterCard, and a couple of others. And it was just very interesting to see them ditch those overdraft fees. Like, why would you just lose out on that revenue? But who knows? Like, maybe it'll get more customers or something. But in the end, I just wanted to throw it out there. I think that these credit card companies have been in some crazy setups. Capital One, Visa, MasterCard, they've all been on some crazy downtrends. And I'm definitely going to keep eyeing them up to the downside, but I'm honestly just waiting for them to hit a support and then maybe start going back up.
For sure. And what it kind of reminds me of is how Robinhood kind of like shocked the brokerage industry by doing the commission free trading. I'm curious if this like Capital One, like no overdraft fees, might shock the credit card industry. Like, I know that, they're giving up like $150 million in annual revenue, but maybe they make up for that by just attracting a lot more customers and just growing their other revenue streams exponentially. So it's definitely something to think about. And thanks for sharing that article.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty big because, like you said, I think a lot of customers might go to them because, I know people hate paying fees and stuff. And hey, the less fees, the better, in my opinion. So sounds like it might be pretty good. And it would be awesome if the rest of the credit card companies got on board. But yeah, it's been a crazy few months for these companies. And hopefully they can get some type of catalyst to go back.
Sounds good. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream today. We had a great time. The market's popping up. TSM and MU are really leading the way. So definitely keep your eyes on those ones. TSM's up nearly 4.5% already, and the market's only been open for like 45 minutes. So we're definitely set for a crazy day. Again, thank you guys so much for joining, and have an amazing rest of your day.